Hello everyone, welcome to this month's Young Entrepreneur Series. Today we're interviewing Leslie Ford of Madison Street Productions, and we're going to talk to her about how her business runs and how she got involved in it. Leslie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
So,
inviting me.
why don't you start off by telling us what your business is and how about you go about doing your videography.
Okay, my business is a freelance videography business with primary focus in legal and weddings. And the legal side is I videotape depositions, so when a witness testifies outside of court, they oftentimes videotape that to play back to a jury. It also has a few other aspects such as day in the life videos, and then also the weddings, which is pretty self-explanatory.
And what did you go to school for to get involved in this?
My degree is in electronic media, which is TV production. I started out in TV news for a number of years, and then I just kind of fell into the legal field, and then I started up the weddings too.
Okay, so why don't you bring us through the process of the financial startup of it and where you got the decision to go off on your own and do your own business, the finances involved, where did you get the money from? Was it borrowing from an institution? Did you get some from family? How did you go about starting up your business?
Sure, the idea actually came from my husband, who kind of pushed me into going out on my own. I was working as a staff videographer for a legal firm, and then the idea came that I could do this on my own. So my husband kind of gave me that push that I needed to go out and do it. Financially, I used some of our savings that we had saved up, and also I went to a financial institution and I took out a loan. Luckily, my business, the startup costs are relatively low. All I needed to do was buy equipment and then I was off. So I didn't have to buy supplies and all that. It was just more or less a one-time, one-and-done expense.
So your office space is actually located at your home. So for tax reasons, is there advantages and disadvantages to having your office at home in your initial startup costs?
The advantages to having my office at home is the portion of my house that is my office, I have an entire room that's my office, is tax deductible. So that comes out of the heating bills, the electricity, the internet costs, that's all deductible. So that's a nice advantage to have. I don't really know what the advantages are to have an office outside of your home because I never looked into it. Although hopefully one day there will be a need for it.
And let's talk about staffing needs then. Right now, basically, you're a small business yourself. You would consider yourself in the field of videography for legal purposes, the legal videography that you do, as a freelancer for companies that would hire you. So when it comes to other employees, what do you do if you have more than one job a day that you need covered? What do you do about that?
When I first started out, it was pretty easy. My workflow wasn't that busy, so if I had a job, I could do it myself. Now it's gotten to the point where some days I have 3 or 4 jobs and I can't be everywhere at once. So I started hiring freelancers. A company will hire me and then I'll hire somebody else to cover that job. Right now I have 4 guys working for me for the legal. And then the same happens with the wedding videography. Is if a bride wants 2 videographers that day, or if I have 2 weddings on one day, I go out and I have a few guys that I call, and then they come and work for me for the day or 2, whatever it may be.
Okay, and when it comes to the area that you cover then, where do you cover and how do you get your name out to the law offices, or when it comes to the wedding videography, how do you get your name out there to brides in that type of instance as well then?
Sure. The area I cover is, southern New York, all of New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, and some of Delaware also. We're primarily based right near Philadelphia, so that's where a big chunk of our work comes. But, if somebody asks us to go 2, sometimes 3 hours away, we'll cover it. And usually I can find somebody, if it's too far for me, I can find somebody else to hire for my clients. And then as far as getting my name out there, it's a lot of business cards. I hand out business cards to all the attorneys I work with. At every deposition, there's at least 2, but usually there's, there could be sometimes up to 40 if it's, especially an asbestos case. So I'm always handing out cards, and really it's a lot of talking to people. I do a lot of networking. Everybody I see, I mention my business. especially if it comes up, and talk to them about how I'm trying to grow. As far as weddings, there's a few websites I'm a part of. Facebook is a big one. And I push my own website and word of mouth. I do a lot of asking my brides to let other brides know that I'm around, and also having good relationships with vendors. There's photographers that recommend me, and some venues. Things like that is how I get my name out.
Now, being a young entrepreneur, business owner, what are your favorite aspects of being your own boss per se, and versus if you would be out there working underneath someone else?
Sure. Some of the bonuses are I essentially choose when I work. Of course, sometimes if there's no job and I want to work, there's nothing I can do about that. But, you know, if I'm busy or I have a doctor's appointment or, you know, something comes up, I have that freedom to do what I want and get somebody else to cover the job if need be, and do all the work myself. I know the quality of the work that I'm sending out because I've done it. Mm-hmm. I kind of like having control over things. That's my personality anyway. So it's nice that I have that control over every single thing that goes out from my business.
Where do you see yourself in the coming years? Where do you want your business to go? And what are the ways that you're trying to achieve that right now in present day? Okay.
We're only 2 years old. I didn't expect to be this big, this fast. I expected to just pick up a few jobs here and there and do a lot of staying home with my daughter, and it's just kind of exploded on me, which is good. But it's a lot to keep up with. I would like to, you know, expand the wedding business even more. I would like to eventually have enough legal work where I can hire on an employee as opposed to the freelancers that work per job. I think that would be a great goal, is to have 1 or 2 people working under me, and maybe even a secretary would be nice. And then what I'm trying to do is really in the legal network, I am, you know, starting to get myself ready to go out on sales calls, which I'm not a huge fan of, but going to visit offices and making relationships with, you know, the secretaries and the paralegals and the attorney themselves, and try to get them to start hiring me. And then with the weddings, I'm really pushing the word of mouth right now, but I need to look into other sorts of marketing, and it's all on the back burner, but I'm starting to bring it to the front and really try to pursue it.
So if people want to look at your business, get in contact with you, see the samples that you have and everything, it seems like the best place to go for that information that would even lead to more information would be your Facebook page. Am I correct?
Yes. We're Madison Street Productions on Facebook. I'm sure you could do the search and it'll come right up. We also have a web page, which is madisonstreetproductions.net, and you can have the contact information there also.
Okay. Well, thank you for sitting down with us today.
Thanks.
Join us next month for the Young Entrepreneur interview, and we hope to see you then.